All right. Hello, hello. Welcome back to the channel. Laura and I are back to wrap up the season one Murderbot
I'm bummed it's
series.
over.
Yeah. I was kind of surprised because this episode felt longer than all the rest.
It
I don't
did, but
know if it was.
I don't think it was. Because I remember, like, at one point I was like, huh, I wonder, it's, it was 34 minutes. So it is
Okay,
a
so
little bit
yeah.
longer. So it's like a little bit longer.
I feel like I've been trying to get people to watch this and they're like, "I don't know, maybe." And I'm like, "They're really short. They're really short. They'll go by and like it'll be done before you even realize it." But I think that's overall, like if I had to pick one critique, I think it would be like they could have gone a little bit longer each episode. But I'm also, maybe I'm not the target audience for that because some people have the attention span of a mosquito.
Yeah, but like I'll be honest, I've noticed that Apple kind of has a number of shows that are in the 30-minute range. You know how like in a lot of like when you're looking at shows that a lot of different major production places make like HBO or whatever, that
Mhm.
they're normally like in like 45 to 60 minutes, and Apple has like a string of series that are in the 20 to 30-minute range.
I mean, it's not terrible, especially in the aspect of them being able to get a season of television out and get it
Yeah.
done and filmed, but not having to wait, 3 years between seasons because I don't know, like, to be honest, I will take a 20 to 30-minute episode if I can get season 2 a year later rather than this every other year, every
Every
2
third
years.
year.
Yeah,
I
that's
can't stay invested in a show like that.
well, I can't say invested, but I can't remember what's happened, and,
Yeah,
like, I
that's what I mean by invested. Like,
yeah.
uh okay, so like we could even use like something that's been out recently, but not like right in the very near past, would be like Rings of Power season 2.
Yeah.
I remember a handful of things, a lot of which are things that that we made jokes about. And I remember how it ends, but like when they release season 3, I'm going to absolutely have to watch season 2 again, or else I'm going to be like, what is happening? And those like season recaps, they help, but at the same time, it's like, am I thinking about this correctly?
I don't think I think with Murderbot specifically, if they end up I mean, season 2 is greenlit, so it will happen, but if they do end up getting to it, like, very soon and start filming very soon, I wonder if they are going to eventually do longer episodes and do what they I think the one of the directors had said that they want to combine book 2 and 3 into season 2 and then make it a little bit longer as well. So, I
Okay.
mean, I don't know, like, I guess it just depends. If they can get it out and get it done quick, I'm happy, and if it's gonna take, a year, 2 years, I'll be fine with short 20 to 30-minute episodes. I won't complain about that, but that's just I don't know, that's just, like, how streaming feels like it's going. It feels like there's a backlog on so many things because especially with CGI right now, like, that's a big thing that I hear repeated with other shows, and especially, I mean, sci-fi and fantasy, that's gonna be, like, one of the big holdups.
Yeah, I will say this though, Apple really has a lot of sci-fi. Like I saw when I went to watch Murderbot, like along the marquee scrollers at the top of, every streaming platform,
Mhm,
they were saying that like they have a new season of Invasion coming. The
mhm.
new season of Foundation, I think, dropped yesterday.
Yeah, the new I haven't watched it yet, but I'm
I didn't
saving it for
either.
later.
I haven't finished season 2 of Foundation, but I
But you
will
did
s
see the naked fight scene, correct?
not yet, not yet.
Okay.
But like, I'm like, I can't get into that right now because I got to focus on Murderbot today. But I was like, oh, I'm definitely going to put that on later. The only, oh God, all I can think of, like, every time I hear Lee Pace's voice, you know that scene in The Hobbit where he's all like, I have survived the dragon fires. That's what plays in my head every single time he starts speaking.
I'm here for the Lipe show. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I haven't read Foundation. I don't know why. I feel like it would be in my wheelhouse, but for whatever reason, I've just never gotten along to it. And I really like the actor that I really like Jared Harris, the guy that plays Harry, but Lee Pace, man, that's the main draw to the show. Like there's some good plot lines going on, but frankly, I'm just sitting and, waiting for whatever's happening next with that
He
character.
has he has the most regal, royal
Yes,
sounding voice possible. I love it, but we should probably talk about Murderbot too.
I agree. Shall we get into the episode?
Yeah, I was actually really kind of surprised by, I mean, like, not surprised, but you know how, like, so far this season, every episode has really had like a real comedic tone to it.
Yeah, this one didn't. There
This
wasn't that
one
in
didn't
this
at
one.
all. Now, I'm not saying that the episode didn't make sense for the story or anything, because it was kind of perfect for the story, but
It was a good way to wrap things up. I mean,
yeah, there were times where I was like, is something funny gonna happen? And then I was
I think the funniest thing that happened was Garathan, like, kind of like hinting at the fact that his ex-dealer, he was gonna rat him out to his kid. Like that little boy is in the home and he's
I
like,
mean,
"Hey,
he
um,
goes, "Yeah, we used to be friends,
now I'm more of a
and then I
customer."
became a customer."
And the guy's like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa."
I mean, like, if you really wanna get something done, threatening to out parents to their children as bad people will probably do it.
My
Nobody wants
respect
their
for
child to go through disillusionment at, like, 6 years old.
Grathan has like slowly through the course of the season become like the next best character besides Murderbot. There's just something about, I don't know.
Yeah, he really, like, comes through, especially in this back half of the season.
Mhm.
Because in the beginning, it was like, "Who's this sniveling little hall monitor?" And now it's like, "Okay, he's a real one."
He is
Like,
a real
when it
one.
comes down to it, he's there. I will say that I'm kinda sad, though, that, like, everybody's not gonna be there next season.
Mm.
Like, you know, where we Ratty and Mensa,
I wonder if they'll
like,
cut back. So I don't know. I mean, they very well could check back in with some of them, but essentially, I don't know. I don't know. I think I think though, like even though I love the people from the preservation group, I will say the more recent books that I've read, getting further away from book 1, they're much better. And so
okay,
it like
okay.
the preservation group in the show elevated it tenfold. I mean, in the books, they're there. They do have a little bit of like a more they're definitely integral to the plot line, but their personalities are kind of just like they're a little bit washed over via Murderbot's constant sarcasm and snarkiness. So I kind of feel like we're only seeing these characters through Murderbot's eyes. And Murderbot is a bit of an unreliable narrator, I think, as well. So it's not like we can take its depiction of every person spot on, if that makes sense.
No, it does. It's an
So
incredibly unreliable narrator, while an incredibly hilarious narrator.
at least in the show, I
It's
mean, they
yeah,
were
but, you know,
spellbound.
and that's something, like, I think that we've talked about before, is that in the show, the secondary tier characters
Mhm.
have much more life to them because it's not solely through the lens of another character.
Mm. Yeah, I think with, yeah, I don't know. With the series though, like, man, I will say the preservation group, like, they really carried the season. Like, Murderbot's a 10. We already know that. It's hilarious. It's great. But the preservation team, I don't know, like, without Mensa, without Garathan, without Rati, especially Rati, like, it just wouldn't hit the way it does. And so now thinking about the future, the prospect of not really having them around next season or the possibility of that, I think it'll be really interesting because, oh, I don't know. There's gonna be new characters that fill that void though. And
Right.
like the go ahead, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, so one thing that I think that, like, because you mentioned how, they bring a lot to it in the show. I think one thing that they really do well is they set the stage for what comes next. They teach, like, in a way, they kinda teach Murderbot some sentient humanity. And, like, at the end of the episode where he kind of says, like, "We can talk about it."
Mhm.
Uh
Yeah.
They're gonna be probably very responsible for how he engages with other people later on down the line.
Yes.
And so that's
Totally.
why I think that they were a really perfect starting point is because, like, when you look at this, like, this is like a spectrum, they're way on one side of the spectrum of, like, what you would consider very, like, well, if we used it compared to modern times, it would be considered very left-leaning ideology.
Yeah.
So, they really kind of, like, come in and they teach him about interacting with humans in ways that kind of meet humans where they're at.
Right, right. It's I mean,
Which yeah.
through this lens of empathy, totally.
Yes.
And then yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I was just all I was gonna say was, like, if it weren't for them teaching Murderbot all of these things, like, it would probably struggle much more in the future. Like, it
Mm,
wouldn't know how to kinda hide in plain sight because I got the idea that it wasn't necessarily wanting everybody to know that it's a prior sec unit because, we hear a lot of, like, internal narration from Seki this episode where it's
yes.
like, "I thought that they were gonna stop me, but I just kept going, and nobody knows I'm a sec unit without my armor," and
Yet. Yeah,
yeah,
they haven't
yeah,
found
they
out
haven't
yet.
figured it out yet.
Mhm.
But if you take, like, everything that it's learned from Preservation Alliance, and I'm not just talking about, like, what it's directly learned with interacting with them, but just in watching their behaviors too.
Mhm.
We see it constantly imitate other life form behaviors, like, but we see it through the lens of, like, how it's always, like, in Sanctuary Moonland. Well, I'm just gonna react this scene. We're just gonna try this scene from Sanctuary Moon. But later on, it could be like, well, I'm gonna try this thing that I saw them do
Mhm.
and see how that goes.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I think to build on that, another really cool aspect of this episode is we get to see the preservation team now with a more like clear idea of what it's like outside of the preservation homeworld because we're now like on Corporation Rim off this dusty, musty planet and we're kind of dropped in and seeing they've got people on strike saying we're not slaves, like picketing. And then I think I remember like one of the guards or someone saying like you don't eat if you don't get back to work, and so we now get to really see a little bit more of like what's going on inside the corporation rim and just how different it is for the people on the Preservation Alliance. Because even again, like one of the journalists has got, got the microphone. They're like talking to Mensa and they're like, we heard that on your homeworld, humans can marry sex bots. And she's like, no, no, can we please stick to the topic at hand, please? And so, yeah, like you really get the idea how different the preservation team is and how outsiders
Yeah.
visualize like what they are and what they stand for.
Yeah, that's a really good point to make. And you know how last episode we had talked about why certain people were on this mission and how that would play into things later? I think one of my favorite parts of the episode was when Preservation Ox was meeting with the corporation heads. And I can't remember what the guy said, but Mensa's like, no, you're going to address me with my title,
President, yeah.
Madam President. And I was like, "Yeah, girl, tell him what's up."
I did like a little internal cheer. I was like, tell 'em, tell 'em. I also really enjoyed Lee threatening to sue the shit out of everyone. Like
The
that
way
also got
yeah,
another cheer
when
from me.
when Penley was like, "Yeah, that's not gonna matter with these exigent circumstances."
Mhm. Yep. Okay, so I just thought about this just now, but when I was thinking about like, oh yeah, this episode didn't really have a ton of funny moments. Do you know what is like frankly quite hilarious in the fact that when they're at the boardroom like round table, did you notice that they did not invite Rati in on the meeting?
Yes, yes. So, you know
They
how,
made
like,
him
they're
wait.
in there, and
Yeah.
then Rati sees
Se
Murderbot, and it's like,
Seki.
"Seki!"
Yeah.
I, at first, thought that that was, like, the plan.
Mhm.
Like, the
Okay.
plan was to leave Rati out, that way he could, like, not really sneak around, literally just walk around looking
Yeah.
for Sec Unit because, you
Mhm.
know, the company just basically kidnapped it, you know, in a
Right.
way. I mean, like, at this point, to Preservation Ox, Seki was kidnapped.
Yeah.
And so I had thought that that was kind of like an intentional thing, that he didn't come along so that way he could
He's doing like reconnaissance.
recon. Yeah, like the most charismatic recon ever.
Yeah, he'll fit right in on the corporate corporate rim. I think I don't know, that scene though, like, broke my heart when he sees him and he's got that big goofy grin on his face and he's like, "Hey, like, it's me." And I'm like, "Oh no.
You
Oh
know,
no, out of all the people, Rati is gonna be the most heartbroken."
it's like so at every moment during the episode till Seki does get its memories back, I kept finding myself being like, is this the moment? Is this the moment when it gets its memories back? And, like, we see how that all plays out, but it was even hard to watch
Yeah.
Murderbot be
Yeah.
erased.
It was awful. It was awful. I hated it.
And then, like, so, like, okay, I've seen this across multiple shows because so we look at like shows like Altered Carbon,
Mhm.
Westworld,
Yeah.
anything where there's like artificial intelligence bots, we see these people who work with them, like the guy who is just like, like the obvious manager or supervisor in the deletion or reset room or whatever it is all like, kind of like being nasty and cruel in a way. And it's like, yeah, I can't do anything. Blah, blah, blah. And I kept hoping
Right.
that it was gonna like, do an Altered Carbon situation. Like
Oh
in
my god,
like
I
in
wanted
season one where
yeah.
Takeshi Kovacs is in the decant cell at the prison
Yeah.
and they decant him and then he freaks out. And yeah, I was hoping for one of those, but we didn't get that. Which made it really, oh my god, there were so many moments where I was like, "This is so heartbreaking."
There
Like,
were multiple occasions where I was like, "It's gonna fight back. Something's gonna happen. It's gonna click, and it's gonna fight back." And I was waiting and thinking that at some point the episode would hinge on I don't know, like, realizing that it was being threatened or treated like an object and that, like, triggering something for it, but I don't know, like, it's interesting that they chose this, like, demonstration, this riot out in front of the building for the setting of
I
that
mean,
because it was actually pretty clever because we've got Murderbot who's being treated and enslaved essentially, and then you have all the people from the homeworld pretty much demonstrating and saying we're not slaves. So that it's like just showing even though one's an it and one's a human, they're both still being treated as something lesser than. And so it's kind of like, yeah, you're all in it together. And then like these people that it's injuring and these people that are beating it, everybody's in the same boat here. And so it's like, yeah,
it was like okay, so you bring up the beating, like, as the protesters are
brutal.
beating Murderbot brutally, at that moment, it's like, come on, guys,
Right.
it's not one of them.
Yeah, not
But
Seki.
then I was like, well, I mean, it is acting like one of them right now. But I did think it was an interesting point to have it kind of like short out was hurting civilians is what created kind of like a resurgence of deleted memories that still must live in organic cells somewhere. And then that's when it shorts out. So I was like, okay, glad it didn't kill any protesters because I'd hate to see that. But then, like, we
Right.
go right from that into an acid vat. And I'm like, no, no. And like you're watching it get loaded in. And the whole time, like, it's going to be saved. Like,
Right.
like
The nick of
they
time.
can't just acid bath it and then the show go on. So it's going to be saved, but then like I was so stoked when Pin Lee popped in and was like, "Stop it now! I have an injunction."
Yeah, her and Rati storm in the nick of time. I mean, I guess it's interesting because even though a lot of the things that happen are, you would suspect it. Like, we know it's not going to die. We know that somehow it's going to make it out alive. Season 2 has been greenlit, but I still think they took some interesting, like, twists and turns in the episode that still caught me off guard because I think with mainly, I wanna say, like, just this scene of them threatening well, when Murderbot wakes up and just how they're treating it, like, that was
Yeah.
shocking, and I
Well, that's
wasn't
why I
ex
was. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
like
why I brought up like Altered Carbon and Westworld because they have those same examples.
right, and it was just kind of like, "Oh, okay, they're really going there." Like, we already know that things are sus on within the corporate rim. We already have a good idea of it, but, I mean, it just gets worse and worse as you go along, and the more that they show, it gets darker and
Yeah.
darker, and I think that's gonna be another interesting thing as well because, you know, when you potentially kind of lose the preservation characters, it's gonna seem a lot darker unless there are other
Characters.
characters to kind of fill that void, and
Yeah.
so that was like and I understand why they didn't do it, but man, they really psyched me out on the ending because when Murderbot's talking about like, "Oh, like a friendly transport bot, like I'll send it a ping. It too enjoys premium quality entertainment." So it's gonna pretty much bargain its way on a like get a ride from this thing, be like, "Hey, friends,
You want to
like
watch TV?
yeah, like." And I love the character of Art. Like I love it. I love it. And they were setting that up, and I swear to God, I thought that was how the episode was gonna close. We were gonna hear just maybe not even its voice, but, like, literally hear the ping, like the incoming message or something like that, and, it just cuts to black, and I'm like, "Ah, okay, I get it, I get it. I get they're saving a reveal for next season," but that's one of those characters where I think that's going to fill the void of the preservation team in a way that will be really necessary moving forward to kind of keep things a little bit lighter and not so grim and dystopian.
Yeah, I think like there were a couple moments that were really that I think the one really funny moment for me in the show was, when they get they've got Murderbot purchased at this point, and uh Garathan like loads its
We'll buy
memories
it.
back in,
Yeah.
and then the first thing it says is, well, I'm missing episodes 420 to 568 of Sanctuary Moon.
And then the relief on everyone's face.
Like, buddy, you can probably re-download those. Like, you can download anything you want now. But it was like
Wow.
stuff like that. But then, we're watching at the end as like Murderbot flies away on a transport that luckily is viewable from the preservation ox room. And seeing Mensa like
Oh, that was
watch it
rough.
leave, but you can tell like in her stance that she's really like okay with it, and she's just, she's sorry to see Murderbot go, but at the same time she wants Murderbot to have an autonomous life where it's not being like used as a slave.
Right. And just not having to answer to anyone but
Right.
itself, which
Oh, when it said, I don't want anyone to tell me what I want, even if they are my favorite human, I was like, oh, that's
that look,
bring a
this
Mensa
episode,
cameo. Mensa cameo next season.
this episode like got me on multiple occasions where I was like, "Ooh, like cutting onions." I think mm, I think that goodbye scene with Murderbot and Garathan,
Oh, girl.
when
When I saw
Garathan
that
started
tear
tear
fall, mhm.
that was it. That was it for me, where I was like, "Oh my god, Garathan's crying." Oh, man. And too, it was really nice that they looped so, like, y throughout the entire season, I need to go check the perimeter. It's kind of a joke, like, it's kind of just like a running gag where it's like, "Ooh, it needs alone time. It's gonna go do its walk." And they pretty much ended the season on that being, like, a metaphor for just, like, I need to go be who I wanna be, and I have to leave. And I was like, "Man," like, as goofy as things are at times, I was like, they really hit home on this one. It was like it was
Yeah.
emotional, it was a good finale. It wasn't necessarily, like, lots of fun, funny moments or really not much action either, but,
No,
like,
that's true.
it's kind of yeah, it's just like a bittersweet little, like, it was saved, it didn't get the memory wipe, but now it's, like, leaving its friends behind, and it's like, Mensa, it was almost like you kind of get the idea she's, like, watching its adult child, like, leave for college or something, like
Yeah.
like, it's packing up and taking off, and yeah, she's got a moment. Errata makes it a special outfit, like, cute. There were a lot of little
Even
moments.
even Dr. like Bardawaj, like her kind of being like, "What do you mean?" Like in that meeting,
Yeah,
and she's really like everybody in Preservation Ox was like in this to get Sec Unit, like to get Murderbot back.
yeah,
And they hinged like their whole lawsuit on it. They were like, give us the Sec Unit and maybe we won't file this lawsuit.
right.
And then of course the company was like, no way. And then they, did a press release, which is the only reasonable thing to do. But it's like, you know, I've I've enjoyed quite an I've enjoyed several shows that have different cast every season. Like
Yeah,
that's not something that'll throw me off. I'm really excited to see new cast members, but it's like at the same time, I'm sad to see these cast members leave because of the dynamic that they bring into the show.
yeah, agreed. And I think too that I just I feel as though that with their casting, just how good it is, like, they're not they're not gonna screw up another season by, like, mediocre casting choices because they really did like, a phenomenal job with season 1. I will never be able to picture Mensa as anyone else. Like, Rati, Garathan, all of them, like, are forever, like, burned in my vision, like, my headcanon as the actor. And they did
Yeah. Oh,
great, like, they
absolutely.
did great. Even just some of these minor roles, like random bad guy number 2 on the Grey Chris team, like, on Planet, the one that's like, "Shagaman," that guy, like, he's got barely, like, a couple sentences worth of dialogue, but,
I
like,
did like him.
great,
The
great.
guy who was like, "You know what? I hate it here."
Yeah.
Like, yeah, though even though he has barely any parts, the way he delivered those few lines, like, were really, really exceptional and added, like, a memorable moment into an episode.
I'm so psyched for whoever they cast as the voice of Art. Like, I don't know what they're gonna do because it's not like Murderbot where it's up walking around and has the face of a person, like, it's just something that it's I don't wanna get too much into spoilers, but, like, yeah, the voice of Art, I'm, like, literally dying for. Like, when they announce whoever they cast for this role, I might have to do a whole episode on it, just, like,
You should.
binging anything that this actor has had a previous, like, role in because and there's not like, that's not the only one, like, oh my god, like, there's so many top characters that'll be really cool to see. I'm just excited. I hope that, like, as the show is now that it's fully out and they've got all the episodes, I really hope that people who, like, have Apple and aren't really, like, in tune with, like, "Oh, like, this sci-fi looks like it's something for me," might just turn it on, get a kick out of it, and continue watching it because they're short and it's easy and it's just fun. But I'm
Yeah.
hoping that, like, it gets a little bit more word of mouth. I hope it starts to
Well, I
kind of,
mean,
like
it's not, like, doing poorly by any means.
no, no.
It's right now it's number 2 for the week.
But I think, like, I just mean, yeah, like, Apple I feel like not as many people have Apple as, like, Netflix or something like that, but
I agree. Netflix is one of those things, like, I'm saying even for me, like, it's hard to get rid of.
it's just because their catalog is so big. There's
It's
always
enormous, but I
something
will
to watch.
say that, like, I think I've been actually enjoying Apple's catalog.
It seems
I
like it's
I
higher
I'm not saying
quality,
yeah, it's
lesser
a high
quantity.
less quantity, higher quality,
Yeah.
because I've watched, like, 6 shows now on there, and every single one has been good.
Mm.
Like, so, like, right now, like, Stick is number 1, and it has been since it released, and it is hilarious. Like, it's very funny. Owen Will who doesn't like I mean, like, I guess some people don't like Owen Wilson, but I am like, I always remember Owen Wilson from Zoolander, and so
Yes.
how can you not love that? Uh,
Hansel.
and s
Hansel.
yeah, and the role works really well for his acting style, but honestly, like, Smoke has been good,
I was just gonna
Friends
say,
and Neighbors is good, Foundation's been good, like, I've been really impressed with their offerings, and they have huge stars playing in their
they
shows, like,
get
they have one coming out with Tom Hanks.
ooh, yeah, Jason Momoa is getting a show in
Yeah,
August, like,
I
that
actually saw
whole
that. I saw that on the scrolling marquee this morning.
mhm.
Um, yeah, they've got a bunch of, like, big names. It seems like they're focusing on high quality scripts and not so much on just putting out, like, the amount of content that they can.
Yeah, and I don't know, that's honestly refreshing, especially considering shows like HBO Max, Netflix, Amazon are just so quick to cancel things. And I even saw an article where Jared Harris was interviewed, one of the main actors for Foundation, and he was saying pretty much like nowadays shows get canceled before their conclusion, and so often it takes a show to have 2 or 3 seasons for it to really find its footing and get, like, very popular, and I don't remember if he brought it up or the author of the article brought it up, but they were saying, like, Game of Thrones season 3, like, it pretty much took up until the Red Wedding until, like,
They
universally
had
people were like, "Aha."
that like Westeros wave.
Mhm.
Um, I would definitely say that like season 1 was fantasy lovers or people who are
Book
already
readers, yeah.
familiar. Like my mom actually found Game of Thrones. That's how I started watching it. She watched it and she was like, "You have to watch this." And
Hyper
since
violent.
you know,
Yeah.
we both know my mother has the exact same taste in television as us. So I watched it and I was like, that's crazy
I remember watching
delight.
the 1st season
Oh,
too, and
crazy.
when you got to see the White Walkers for the first time, because, like, like, you don't really know what this
Yeah,
like,
they're an
what
enigma in the book.
yeah, it's like we've got these, like, almost like I don't know, it's like looking like a medieval
Like
type
an
village, like
yeah.
and then we've got ice zombies, and then we've got, like, this very almost, like, period drama in a way, but also with, like, the HBO hypersexual, hyper-violent. I'm like, "What is this? What is
Yes.
this?"
And, like,
But
that's what season 1 is what made me read the books, and
mhm.
I we watched it, like I had not even heard of it until season 2 was about to drop, and that's when my mom found it, was when HBO started pushing hard before season 2 to get it out there to people, and I managed to read most of the books in, like, the 2, 3 weeks before season 2 started. And it's like, so many shows are like that though, where
Yeah.
they're released, not every show gets the same level of publicity and push from their platforms. And so some shows do just like take longer than normal. Or I guess that really is kind of the normal in a lot of ways. But I
Yeah,
think like production companies and streaming platforms that also operate as production companies, they want they want to recreate the success that Game of Thrones had
without reaching to the
without reaching in and really committing to the show because like it wasn't until, like you were saying, it was like season 3 is where the hype for Game of Thrones, where it started to grow into that like mythic status that it has. Because it really does. It has like a status of like a mythic show
yeah.
that
I don't know, it's just it's interesting getting away from, like, more of, like, the Amazon stuff and the Netflix stuff and being able to kind of scroll through what Apple has to offer, and I mean, Murderbot, like, what a good fit. Like, that's such a good fit for Apple, where, like, they're really, like, building up their sci-fi catalog. They've got, a decent amount of kind of, like, drama, like, dramedies, comedies. I don't know, like, I'm very impressed, I guess, with Murderbot, and I don't
oh,
know.
me too.
Is there anything you
Yeah.
wanna get into before we wrap it up with Murderbot?
It was a delightful season. Like, you know, sci-fi doesn't always get the stage like it should, but this what would you even call this? Like a sci-fi comedy?
Yeah, like,
Yeah, a
it's a
psychomedy.
it's a genre of its own. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know, like, it's
I
not as like okay, I have friends who I know people who love the Orville, and I've tried to watch it, and it's too goofy for me. It's, like, too silly,
Yeah.
but, like, Murderbot, like,
You know what,
it's
Murderbot?
just, like, the right amount of silly goofy for me.
You know what it reminds me of is, like, how The Magicians pulled that off too.
Yes,
God, one of
yes,
the greatest shows I've ever seen.
yes.
Uh,
The snark is there.
they pull off, like, having comedic elements, like, they and this is the kind of show that they ended up pulling that off too, where they take 2 genres or multiple genres, and they kind of meld them together, and it doesn't always work.
That's a great observation. Like, yeah, like, it's pretty much like, it's kind of like the fantasy version of it where they've
Yeah,
really, like yeah, yeah, yeah. Huh.
and it doesn't always work to do it.
No, no. Look, if the comedy would not have landed, this show would have been a stinker. Like, can you imagine if, like you know what I mean? Like, if
It
it
would have
was
been
yeah, if it
yeah.
wouldn't have been funny, like, if they had tried to make it funny, but the jokes didn't land, like
Oh,
but
if they had tried to make it funny and they didn't land, it would have been
yeah,
10 times
that's what
worse.
I'm saying, like
Yeah.
but I think that just really speaks to how talented the cast is because you have so many really funny actors in there, and I think a lot of them are comedians by, like, nature, by trade, and so when I'm talking about, like, the casting in general, like, hands down, like, they killed it. They did a great
Yeah,
job.
absolutely. Yes, I can't wait for season 2.
Yeah, so for everyone who's made it through the whole season with Laura and I, we will definitely, definitely cover season 2 when it comes out. Maybe by that time, Laura might read a book or 2 of
Ooh.
it. I know, they're super short, so I mean,
I know.
yeah,
I'm not reading anything right now because 'cause I'm like, the house remodel that never ends.
yeah, but who
Actually,
knows?
it's the bathroom remodels that never get completed.
But
Uh,
I'm just
yeah.
excited. Like I'm stoked for them getting the green light on season 2. Adrienne's in chat right now. She's actually that's how I saw it because she posted it.
Ooh.
So yeah, if you enjoyed these episodes, like thanks, let us know, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Also, if you're just looking for other people who like to read books and watch a lot of television, I do have a Discord server that you're more than welcome to join. You can find the links on social media. And yeah, we will be back with more sci-fi fantasy and we will see you then.